You know, sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones we actually share with each other. Today, we're going to look at this really inspiring international project where a bunch of students are using technology not just for class, but to give a voice to their local forests. They ended up finding some incredible common ground on a global stage. So let's dive in and see exactly how they pulled this off. First things first, let's set the stage a little. Think about it. Environmental crises, especially something like massive forest fires, they don't stop for a border checkpoint, right? They are a shared problem for the entire planet, and that means we need a shared perspective to even begin to tackle them. In this is the raw reality of that problem. We're looking at the very images these students are dealing with. Not some abstract idea, but real-life devastation happening in their own backyards. From Çanakkale to the Marmara region in Turkey. It was seeing this devastation that really sparked something incredible. So, how do you fight a problem that just completely ignores borders? Well, you gotta build bridges that can cross those same borders. And that leads us right to the brilliant solution these young people came up with. It's called the Digital Forest Voices Project. It's part of something called eTwinning, which is this amazing online platform that connects schools all over. In this case, it linked up students and teachers from Turkey, Romania, Poland, and Italy. And their shared mission? Super clear. To research, to understand, and, well, to speak up for their local forests. And here they are. This is the heart of the project, right here. This picture just says it all. Classrooms full of students from 4 different countries, all in the same virtual room. And look, they weren't just logging on to listen to some boring lecture. No way. They came together because they genuinely cared about protecting the environment. They found this common ground, this shared language, all because they were worried about the same thing. Their forests. Okay, so what actually happens when you get all these smart, passionate kids together in one virtual room? Well, they start sharing stories. And I'm not talking about fairy tales. I'm talking about real, hard-hitting stories based on their own research into what's happening to the forests in their own countries. Take the students from Turkey, for example. They did this incredible deep dive into the forest fire crisis in their Muğla region. For them, this wasn't some distant news story. It was a local crisis they investigated and wanted their new friends across Europe to really understand. Then you've got the Romanian team, who took a really cool approach. They actually analyzed forest fires over several years, looking at trends from 2022 and even trying to project what might happen next. It just goes to show they're not just reacting to what's already happened, they're thinking ahead. And then the Italian students chimed in, and they brought a whole different but totally crucial angle to the conversation. They shifted the focus to the amazing biodiversity in their local forests. It was such a great reminder that, hey, before you can protect these places, you have to really get what makes them so special in the first place. And that, right there, gets to the absolute core of this whole project. This wasn't just about emotions or sharing sad pictures. These students showed up with cold, hard data to back up everything they were saying. And the stuff they found, wow, it really shows you how deep they went. Get this, in Romania, they found that 162,000 hectares were lost to wildfires in just 2022 alone. That's huge. They also found that across Europe, almost 60% of all the land burned was in just 3 countries. And, maybe most importantly, they pinpointed the main causes, things like industrial farming and illegal logging. But just pointing out the problems, that was only step 1. The real magic, the real power of this whole thing, happened when they moved on to the next, much harder question. Okay, so what are we going to do about it? And during their research, they dug up this one number that is just staggering. They found that a whopping 97%, let that sink in, 97% of forest fires are caused by us, by people. That means it's not some random act of nature. It's a human-made problem. But here's the flip side they focused on. If it's a human problem, it has human solutions. And that's exactly where they went next, laying out these really clear, common-sense solutions. First up, reforestation. Simple, right? Plant new trees to help nature bounce back. Second, sustainable farming. Let's find ways to grow our food that don't destroy our forests. And third, sustainable forest management. Basically, using our forest resources in a much smarter, more controlled way so they'll be around for the future. And you can tell their solutions weren't just pulled out of thin air. They were based on a really deep understanding of why these forests are so incredibly important to begin with. Everything from cleaning our water to controlling the climate. These students really get the big picture. So, after all that, What's the big takeaway here? Well, for me, it's this incredibly powerful story of hope. It's a glimpse of what the next generation can do when they team up with a real sense of purpose. And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. Listen to what one of the teachers, Shada All, had to say. She called it an unforgettable experience for her students. You can just feel it in her words, right? This was way more than just a school assignment. It was a life-changing experience. And get this, it's not even over. They're still going. They have a whole roadmap planned out for what's next. So in March, they're putting all these stories together into a virtual exhibition for everyone to see. Then in April, they're going to actually measure the impact they've had. And come May, the grand finale, a final ebook and a big conference to bring all the partners together. This project has a real legacy. And all of that leaves us with one last, pretty important question to think about. You've got these students, right, from 4 different countries, 4 different cultures. They connected online, they tackled a huge global problem, and they came up with actual solutions. So if they can do all that, what's stopping the rest of us?